Hi, witches, and welcome to Witchin' and Bitchin' a podcast. I'm your host, Darren.
And I'm Vicky. How are you all today? I'm super excited. Why am I excited?
Wow, because we have the amazing Kyle Gray!
Yay.
Woohoo! So, he comes with no introduction, but Kyle Gray is a spiritual teacher with a difference. With his sharp wit, need for truth, and a desire to shed light upon some of the more complex spiritual subjects, Kyle has become one of the most sought-after experts within his field. With spiritual encounters from an early age, Kyle was just 4 years old when his grandmother's soul visited him from the other side. Growing up, Kyle always had the ability to hear, feel, and see what goes beyond the natural senses, which eventually led him to discovering the power of angels and positive energy in his teens. These days, Kyle is an international speaker and best-selling author of 7 books, including the much-loved Angel Prayers and Raise Your Vibration. He also co-created 4 oracle decks that have wowed his audiences by bringing a modern and exciting face to the angels, ancestors, and ascended masters. So can you please welcome Kyle Gray?
Hi.
We forgot Kyle, you forgot to add avid sneaker collector, father of Thor the Chihuahua. We need to add these to your bio because
Yes.
But I did think that yesterday. I was like, oh, I really need to update this bio because I had to change. I was like, oh, it says 6 books, but I've actually got 7, and it's about to be 8.
Oh, is that a bit of an inside scoop, or is that common knowledge that there's going to be?
I think I've kind of been teasing, but there's a book coming in April. Yeah. So.
Exciting.
Is there any? Are we allowed to say what
the
topic
is? I can tell you. It's Divine Masters, Ancient Wisdom. It's called. So with the Ascended Masters, yeah.
And can people pre-order already? Or
yeah, I think so. It's already on Amazon and stuff, so it's unbelievable.
That's amazing.
How down. Sorry, just writing it down. I need to add something to my Amazon.
So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
I was kind of hoping that little Thor would be hopping around somewhere because we've been. Oh no!
He's a night dog. Honestly, he literally he's not into the morning. He just goes back to bed.
Oh, he's my kind of dog. That's I like to sleep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though.
A wolf in his past life or something.
I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't there been a few times when he's woken up and wanted to get into bed, and you have to keep putting him back into his bed, and then
he's now officially fully moved in.
It always happens.
That didn't last long, doesn't
it? Yeah. Mine with the same.
6'1" man and a chihuahua in bed together.
No, but I have to say the ironic. I love the irony of you have a dog named Thor, so you picture this big, massive, like wolfhound, and you see this itty bitty little teacup chihuahua.
He's gorgeous.
He's so
he's like 1.5 kilos. He's just so tiny.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Oh, I love you. Well, I wanted to ask you a question. This is something that we often start off with. Mm-hmm. We wanted to know, what would be your take on how would you define a modern witch? Or
a modern witch?
Yeah. I know it's a big question. Like there's a lot to it, but what's kind of your definition? What would you
guess there's many levels to it, but I think now, because witch has become one of those reclaimed terms, especially for my generation, where people will say I'm a bit witchy, but they might not necessarily follow the Celtic Wheel of the Year or practice the craft. So I think a modern day witch is just someone who's aware of their own innate power to make a difference or to change the world around them. I think that's really what a modern day witch is. Yeah. And you can go running with that in many directions.
Yeah, that's it. It can go kind of anywhere. So how would you sort of identify or what kind of names or labels, I guess, for want of a better word, do you identify your spiritual practice?
I found that really difficult.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
People say eclectic.
Yeah.
Whereas I think dabbler is a better. I definitely have dabbled in a lot of practices of all different styles. So I would say I'm a bit more of a dabbler, and but I think there's a real reason for that, and I'll say is that I think it's a memory. I think it's like a soul memory. So like I've been writing a lot about this recently where, I've always felt really connected to Scotland and the Celtic Wheel of the Year and like Gaelic traditions and, the honouring of that. And it feels very cool. But then I've also had this deep pull towards like the teachings of Christ and the fact that Mary Magdalene once walked the earth with Christ and they were, a thing. I've always felt really connected to that. And then when Vikings came on TV, I changed my identity. I was like, I am one of those.
I think lots of people did. I did too.
I'm still there. I'm still there.
Yeah, me too.
I pull out all the Norse music, the whole thing.
I work out to Norse music every day.
It's awesome, isn't it?
It's so good.
Really cool. So then I was thinking recently, I was like, maybe it's me remembering figments of all the previous incarnations that I've had, Maybe there was a lifetime I was a knight, maybe there was a lifetime I was a Viking, so I've been a bit more okay about it, because I think a lot of people along the way have tried to divide us, like you're either on the magical path or you're not, and for me, that's helped me find peace with, I'm, so impressed with the ideas that Jesus Christ brought to the world, but yet I also definitely believe in the maiden, the mother, and the crone, so it's like, I find
that's beautiful because like you said, that it has a lot in the world. There is that sort of divide and creating that friction and things like that. So when you can kind of weave them all together and bring them all together, it's about creating that community and realizing that most things all come from the same space anyway.
Right. It's all love.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say to people. Like I'm one of those people that calls myself an eclectic. But now, as soon as you said it,
he's going to take the dabbler now.
No, because like I think like I've dabbled in a few things, but I guess eclectic is where I've taken on the things that serve me or that align with my spiritual practice or spiritual belief, and then kind of the rest I'm like, I've read about it, but I'm like, don't really need that, or that doesn't add anything to what I'm doing. Because I call myself like I practice eclectic mysticism, as in because I love reading about all the different scriptures and dogma. I mean, I have everything from Celtic to Chinese to Arabic tattooed on me, like literally every culture under the sun. So but yeah, so I actually wanted to unpack that a little bit more with you, if we may. So obviously everyone knows you mainly for your work with the angelic realm, but I actually knew, well, even aside from the angels, I know you from the tarot realm as well as oracle cards, but then I also know that you've done a lot of work with crystals. But then on social media, we see a lot of your Celtic influence in there. So is there any other practices or cards that you followed over the years and how they've influenced you like today?
Yeah, there's also a very strong pull to like Indian culture. So playing the harmonium, practicing yoga. I was looking at my memories on Facebook this week, and 6 and 7 years ago, I was literally living on an ashram in the middle of India.
Really?
There's definitely a real love for different pathways and a wanting to understand them. And I'm also on day 178 of unbroken Kundalini yoga meditation.
Are you?
Yeah, it was one of my friends.
Awesome.
One of my friends had done it for 1,000 days, this practice, and I was like, that's amazing. It's like a 3-year commitment. And I really watched it change our lives. It was one of the, it was a friend, but they also produced my events in Germany.
Yeah.
So her sister, who's like one of my best friends, had been doing it, and she's like 700 days in. I was like, this is really cool that you have this like rooted practice you go to, you do it every day, kind of similar time, to the same music. And I've been reading about the powers of, doing a meditation that's repetitive and how it can actually grow brain cells and memory power. So I started doing it and literally so hooked. It's like the one thing that's a non-negotiable in my day, that I can't not do. Yeah, and it's the Kundalini.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so did you do a course in that, or is it something that you found online? Or if people, if people are interested?
I've never trained in Kundalini yoga. I've like always followed the tantric yoga traditions, Ashtanga, and and then eventually trained in forest yoga. But the when I found about this, I just asked my friend to show me how to because there's like a step you have to tune in with this chant, and then the meditation's an 11-minute non-stop chant, and it's just there's something about it.
Yeah, there's something amazing about, especially like the chanting and just that power of the voice. It's amazing.
Yeah, and like I'm not really interested in, because they use the word guru all the time, but as in wonderful teacher, but it's about calling the teacher out from within, and that's why I love that meditation.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
Can we do this for 11 minutes? We'll chant.
I was about to say, is there movements as well? Because I know, because I'm a yoga teacher as well, and I love Kundalini, but it's something I've never been trained in or anything. And I know there's a lot of movement as well as the chanting and everything.
I was always a little bit hesitant because, no offense to any Kundalini traditions, but I saw a lot of people, like I saw a lot of white people wearing a lot of white, and I was a bit like,
I know, that's a bit,
this feels intense. But then, you know, I just wear what I wear, and I do.
Just do it. I was going to say, do you wear white? Do you wear white?
So it feels fine for me, you know. So yeah, it's really quite fascinating.
I love that. I love that, because I even watched for those that haven't watched your YouTube channel, like I love that recently. Actually, I don't know if it was a recent video, maybe it was something that I just saw recently. But when you were talking about your like 5 favorite books, I don't know if that was a recent video, it was a while ago now. But and I love that because the 5 books that you chose were literally just like, for anyone that couldn't connect the dots, because they're literally 5 very different areas of spirituality, which I love because it shows that you've got a very broad reading spectrum, whereas a lot of people are just like witchcraft and that's it. Whereas we literally have a front room in our house that we've called the library. One, because it sounds a bit bougie, saying I'm just off to the library.
Now.
It's like we call it the library, but also because it's like literally just wall to wall books, floor to ceiling. But yeah, no, I love that you've literally got a very eclectic taste in things, and I think it also shows in your work. Like, I mean, obviously you've got the books about angels and everything, but you can see that you're very well versed when it comes to creating an oracle deck, because like I think this is why I keep buying your decks. I'm a bit of an addict because of the fact that you don't like, you know what I mean? As in, it's this thing that with your decks, you cover all different belief systems, all different traditions, all different dogmas. And it's like, just,
it's not pigeonholed to one kind of area. I think that's what I think is, especially the Keepers of the Light, that one. I really love how they're different figures from all different cultures and things like that as well. So is that kind of important to you to have like that broad spectrum of knowledge? Yeah,
it was when I first started to actually have these really deep experiences of the angels, you know, and one of the first messages I heard from the angels was really simple. It was, no one has been forgotten. And I really felt that if I was going to represent, you know, this topic and these beings, because I really see myself as a colleague of the angels, you know, like
I love that.
Because, you know, I've been given this really incredible opportunity, a very abundant, amazing life to write about this very specific and I guess niche subject. And I wanted to make sure that if, you know, one of my books landed on the lap of, you know, say a woman sitting in the middle of Sri Lanka, that she'll be able to find herself in my work. And that was really what I wanted to do. I wanted, you know, everyone in the world to be able to pick up any of my work and be able to say, oh, there's an angel who has the same skin tone as me in there, or there's an angel that looks like me, or there's an angel that I feel I could relate to or connect with. So I made it really important, and I think there's a reason for that as well. When I first, and I'm jumping in, I had seen angels, you know, I had seen angels growing up. I had seen angels for other people. I'd never met my own guardian angel, if you will, my own guide, until I was about 20. And
really?
I remember, so I'd seen everyone else's angels, but I'd never actually had my own experience of my own. And I remember one morning waking up, and there was like, I had been going through a hard time. I'd started my spiritual business like many people, and it was going so well. And then I just kind of hit a brick wall with it, where it was a little bit emotionally overwhelming, because I was, you know, 17, I started my business. And then, so I took a bit of a hiatus, and I went to study music, and then I ended up becoming a DJ, and I got signed. And I won this like music competition. And then I got a day-to-day 9 to 5 job as an events coordinator in a hotel. And it was really good because like I had a really good life, I had a good car, you know.
Yep, all this stuff.
Everyone knew me. I could get into all the clubs for free. Like there was just like that thing happening.
Yeah.
But I also felt this deep like feeling of there's not actually a purpose in this for me.
There's
It can be
more.
purposeful for others, you know. There's nothing wrong with it. And I had been having a hard time because every other colleague that I was working with at the time didn't really know about online marketing and me using social media to get clients, and I hit a really high on my sales, and they were giving me a hard time. So I went to bed with this book about angels. It was by Diana Cooper. It was called Angels Inspiration. Never forget this as long as I live. Chapter 5 was called Feathers. And I opened up the book and a feather fell out of the book. Branded it. Yeah.
Oh
literally,
my
like
gosh.
every hair on my arms stood. I fell asleep feeling loved. And the next morning I woke up and there was this, gigantic black man standing at the side of my bed, but he was wearing like chainmail. You know, like
that would be a little bit scary to wake up to. Though.
Well, there's two parts of it. I was like, whoa, there's a really tall black man standing by my bed. But then there's also this. But I knew he wasn't from this realm because there was fire in his eyes. It's the only way to describe it.
Yeah.
But he looked like Obama. And I was like shook. And I remember just getting up, kind of like pooping it off, going to the bathroom to get showered, coming back, still could see him, like full physical. And and I was like, that is so weird. And that day I had been at work, I was at my desk, I was doing something, and my phone kept ringing off the hook. And it was a newspaper offering me an opportunity to become a columnist for them.
Wow.
As the Angel Whisperer. But I'd been absolutely against the idea. I didn't really want to do it, you know, especially writing. This is the Sun newspaper, so it's like big, massive readership.
That's like a really mainstream kind of newspaper.
Yeah, you know, very right-wing, conservative newspaper that's built upon kind of trashing people. It just felt a bit but I ended up going with it, and I ended up getting the job at the Sun. I stayed there for 5 years, and but the reason I think I saw this angel was, one, I think it was the moment for me I could actually say yes to the angels. But I also think the angels represented themselves as this black angel as a very key focus in my work, where although I can't speak for black people or anyone of color, I can bring their representation into my work, which is centered in the white world, and create an opportunity and an openness for diversity. So I think that was, you know, a big message there.
But I think that's the thing that stands out for me about your work, though, because it's like, especially those who grew up in any form of Christianity, we have this romanticized Renaissance version of an angel, that it's like this white person with these big wings, and either that or it's a little chubby kid, like a little chubby baby with wings, like a little cherub, or it's like this big grand, you know, armored dude with it, like with his long locks of hair and whatever else. And it's like, it's very much that whole medieval romanticized kind of version of angels. And I love that your decks actually show that angels come in all different shapes and sizes, and religions, not religions, but like, you know, all different, like they come from everywhere. They're not just one thing. And I know that there's a bit of a stigma, especially amongst witches, that a lot of witches will go, oh, can't touch that. That's judeo-christian-abrahamic. Even though I've always believed, as someone who has like dealt with the angel realm and stuff, it's like they don't, like they appear in all different religious scripts. They're not held to one specific thought system, or you know what I mean. I don't know if I'm making sense when I say this, because it's kind of just coming out loud. But it's like it's often seen that it's a them and an us, like kind of like witches and then angels. But I love the fact that you bring the two together. Like you don't have to separate yourself from one or the other.
I've always felt that I've always tried to go out my way to make sure that people can feel safe. either like at my events or like, because I'm very ceremonial. If you ever see me speak, I call in the corners. I get everyone to stand up and face all directions. Like there's a very ceremonial aspect to it, and it has a very witchy, Gardnerian, Wiccan undertone. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not pointing that out. It's just there.
Yeah, it's just sitting under the surface.
So that's there, and then there's also I'm been really privileged that in a lot of the last few events that I was able to do physically, there was a lot of like trans people. I even had someone in drag at one of my events. I was like, like there's
awesome
space in place for everyone.
Yeah,
and I've really used that space to direct that, and I've always made a point of just I've gone up to these people and be like, I see you. I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you for trusting me with your life. And that's always been really. I'm going to cry about that.
I was going to say that's really beautiful. That's awesome.
And by the way, you're allowed to cry. Like, this is a safe space.
No idea. I'm literally like the most cryy person ever.
It's totally fine.
I only cry for TV shows. Animal stuff. It's usually animal stuff on TV shows.
The voice, like I can't control myself. I watch the voice. Literally a mess.
Oh yeah, I do too. I must admit on those.
I mean, I probably should have known. I should have known this already. But what is your star sign?
Oh, it's Pisces.
Oh, well, that makes sense then.
But I've got Leo ascendant. And,
oh, me too.
You can see the Leo here.
The hair. Yeah, I do not have Leo in my star sign.
I've got Leo.
What else? Taurus moon, Taurus. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
People get me into trouble sometimes for being quite bougie, and it's like self-confessed. Like I like nice things, and I'm always like, but I've got Leo rising in Taurus moon.
Yeah, right.
That's it. What do you expect?
I mean, I saw because those shoes that you recently posted on social media on Instagram, I think it was on your stories or something, with all the, I don't know if they were Swarovski crystals or what they were, but there was like,
oh yeah.
Were they a purchase or just something that you saw in a shop?
It was. I actually last 2 years ago. Was it last 2 years ago? I went to Paris for Fashion Week and learned how to craft my own sneakers, and I made friends with all these custom sneaker makers. So they buy like a Nike shoe and they rip it apart and rebuild it. And so the guy that had made those sparkly Travis Scott shoes had basically bought Nike, pulled them apart, rebuilt them, and then I bought them. So yeah,
that's so cool.
That's amazing. I love it. I didn't even know that was a thing, that like they pull them apart and redo
they call it custom and customization. It's a big scene, and it was really cool to learn how to do it, because I wear sneakers every day, so I wanted to know how you put a sneaker together. It took me 40 hours to make a pair.
Really?
What?
So long.
Wow.
Yeah. My husband gives me a lot of shit that I have so many pairs of sneakers, and I think the first pair of non-sneakers that I bought was for my wedding day. He gave me a bit of a look. He's like, please tell me you're not going to wear flip-flops or sneakers on our wedding. I'm like, well, we are on a beach in Hawaii.
Yes.
And he's like, no, dress shoes it is. I'm like, okay, fine. So I got my first pair of lace-ups, but yeah.
No.
That's fine. That's fine.
Funny, I'm like between sneakers and barefoot, though. I'm very barefoot.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
I
me.
love going on stage wearing a really cool pair of trainers, but I also love going on barefoot. It just feels a bit more bohemian,
Yeah, that's it. It gives you that extra cred there as well. I think.
I'm spiritual.
Look at me. I know. You can spritz. You can just have a bit of a spritz when you get there, and you'll be fine.
I love it. We all do that.
Oh, now I feel left out.
I know. See, now you have to do it too.
Yeah. Everything has to happen.
I'm known for my spritzing. I often spritz.
We have a bit of a running joke here. We were going to call it Vicky's Spritzometer, and we're going to keep track of how many times she spritzes on camera. But I think the first episode we recorded, I lost count.
Yeah, that was.
I was too focused on what we're talking about.
If it makes you feel better, one of the first times I ever hung out with Gabrielle Bernstein. We were in a taxi in London, and it was smelling really bad. And I pulled out a bottle of Vora spray and started spraying it in the car. And she's like, I love that you just did that.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, look, I'm guilty of having it's my, obviously it has other purposes than a room deodorizer. There's actually like other things in it, but I actually take it in my gym bag to the gym because I teach back-to-back classes, especially if I have to teach like Pilates or something after I've just taught Zumba. I'm like, you know that it's a bit like, so I just go, hang on guys, before you sit down.
Just spritz.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, you're good.
I actually recently did it on a flight. I was a long haul flight somewhere, and I was like doing I use Orasoma, and I was doing like doing all this, and the cabin crew came over to me. She's like, because I had the thing up.
Oh, the thing down, yeah.
And she's like, excuse me, so what are you doing? I was like, I'm just exercising the aircraft. And she went, thank God someone is. And then
I love that. Just doing an exorcism.
Just like took it in her stride, like no.
She goes.
I'm sure they see some weird and wonderful.
I was
things.
about to say, I'm pretty sure that's probably minute on some of the things that they see. Oh, that's brilliant.
That would be hilarious. Can you next time? I want to see you with your drum. What you did for the winter solstice. I know that you did your little drumming chant ceremonial thing on Instagram Live. I'd love to just see you just stand up randomly in a plane and start drumming and chanting.
Well, I have to explain the drum all the time because the drum goes with me on tour, and the drum's been on more flights than most people. And I was on a flight one time, and I was trying to like get the drum, and someone was like, "What is that, sir?" I'm like, "It's a drum." And they're like, "That's a really weird drum." I'm like, "It's a shamanic drum," and then it was just so funny, like having to explain it. I'm like, "What do you use that for?" Well,
wow. How long have you got? Here we go.
But it was funny because one of the other cabin crew on that flight had then said, I know who this guy is. I've seen him use this drum online.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was funny.
That would be hilarious.
Oh, just before we go on, speaking of that video on Instagram for the winter solstice.
Oh, yeah.
Can you help me out with the pronunciation? I've always said that it was Serenos. But how do you actually say it? You say it completely different.
You can say it, and I say it kind of Scottish. There's a Scottish version, Cernunnos. So, yeah, but you can say Cernunnos.
Okay.
Cernunnos. Yeah, because it's originally it was a K.
Yeah. Yeah,
it was a K.
So, I'll be the first to admit that whenever we're doing an episode about one of the like major Sabbats or the cross-quarter fire festivals, or did I say that the right way, Vicky?
Yeah.
Anyway, I always have to ask her against my Alexandrian witch. I'm like, wait, did I say that right?
Alexandrian witch, love it.
Yeah, well, I've trained in it.
Yeah. So like whenever we're doing this and we're talking about like all the deities for that particular Sabbat and stuff, and like I can go through, like I'm great with my Nordic languages, with my Indian languages, my Arabic languages, Chinese, everything, and then I get to Gaelic and I'm just like, I apologize to any Gaelic listeners. I'm going to bastardize this one right now because I have no idea how to pronounce it because there's all these extra letters and things, and I'm just like, you pronounce some but not all, and I'm like,
even the word Gaelic, some people say Gaelic here, so it's kind of
okay.
It's like it's a minefield, isn't it? Really.
I was going to say,
and
how do you say Halloween in the Celtic style?
I say
Samhain.
I say Samhain.
Samhain.
Oh.
Yeah. In means evening in Scots. So yeah.
Interesting. So even on that, like, because we actually made a joke because a lot of people call it Samhain, which I get triggered. I get triggered when people pronounce things wrong. But then I pronounce things wrong, so it's like whatever.
So I blow his mind all the time because I always pronounce things wrong.
Yeah, sometimes she'll say, you know that thing, wait, you say it. And I'll say, what language is it? She goes, Spanish. I'm like, can you spell it for me? And then she spelled, I think it was like ojos de Dios, like it was ojos de Dia, like, you know, which is like the God's eye. But anyway, so like, you know, when we got to Samhain or Samhain, or how we pronounce it, like we made up our own, which we called it, we said to everyone, Happy Belloween.
Yeah.
So we said Beltane, Halloween, Samhain together. So we called it Belloween.
Let's put them all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
It's like we called it Yuletha. Merry Yuletha, because it's Yule and Litha at once. So we're like, Merry Yuletha. Yeah, so we do this thing when we smash them together sometimes, just for fun.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Why not?
I just want to bring it back to the angel stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
How we were
Sorry,
talking
reeling it in.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm just minding time.
It's 11:11, just so you know.
Is it?
Yeah.
So, okay, for those that haven't seen, go back and watch our episode on angel numbers, because
How it all started.
this is how this all started. Because Vicky and I were recording, and it was 11:11 when we're talking about you, and we're talking about 11:11, and I said, Kyle, thank you, angels, for bringing us Kyle on a future episode. And then Vicky says, if you watch it carefully, she says, give us a sign.
I did.
Between my sentences. And then while we kept talking about you, then when I checked the time, it was 11:11. I'm like, fuck off, did that just happen? Like, because that was not planned. Because we don't know. Sometimes we do multiple takes before we get it right, so we don't know what time it's going to be. And then, anyway. So bring it back to the angels. Go, Vicky.
I just want to know, how would you sort of, I guess, describe, or how do you see them? Because like when we were talking before about how there's often that sort of perception that they're a bit like fluffy, or that they're sort of Christian only. How would you sort of describe them, or I guess for want of a better word, sort of how do you picture them, I guess?
Yeah, you know,
or their energy, I guess. What's their energy, I guess, is probably more.
Yeah, over the years, it's really evolved. I think that wherever you are and whatever path you're walking, the angels will kind of work with that to share their being. And I really would say that they're probably the best shapeshifters there ever was. Because over the years and over the millennia, they've really shifted their way. But for me, there's no difference between what I call an angel and what someone would call a deva or a dakini or the bodhisattva in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. You know, like I genuinely just see that angels are divine intelligence coming to us in a personified form so that we can have a relationship with it.
Yeah.
So that's simply it. And so, for example, say someone's following a more pagan path or a more like earth-based tradition, you would just call it divine intelligence. You know, it'd be like the intelligence that encourages the flowers to grow, or the wheel of, of the year to turn. It's just that intelligence that's within everything. And I would say that a lot of people have always made angels very celestial, like very up there. But we definitely are in honor and in connection with nature. And that's why they use nature as their way of getting in touch. So they use the signs of animals or the feathers of certain beings that come to us. They're very in touch with nature itself. So divine intelligence, I would describe it as. And ultimately, their presence is just a very loving energy.
Yeah.
You know, when I've always tried to go for direct experience and then interpret it to the world. And I remember one time asking the angels to, express to me who they really were. And I saw the universe as this giant big heart. It was just a big heart beating.
Wow.
And every time the heart was to beat, the beat would be an angel.
Wow.
They're part of the heart of the divine. And so when people say to me, I get this all the time, like, why do you speak to angels and not God? Why do you? And I always say, well, when I'm speaking to an angel, I'm speaking to the heart of God. There's no separation. And that's where the issue is in the kind of judeo-christian world, is that there's God in them, or
they're separate.
It's all very separate. But even modern day science and physics is telling us that nothing is separate anymore.
No.
I can lovingly think about you in Australia, and you could be on an MRI machine, and your body and brain will light up, like I'm in the same room as you. There's
fascinating.
An intangible but tangible connection to everything. So I'll say that the angels ultimately are just the energy of the world given its personality.
Yeah.
And I've often said that, like, my belief is that spirit will always present itself. Spirit, universe, God, angels, insert synonym here. I say that because, like, I believe in so many different things. Like, a lot of people question how I can call myself a witch, but yet I still practice like Serbian Orthodoxy, because I still honor that as well, because that was my traditional upbringing. So I still hold on to that. And I, was raised Catholic when I was a child, so I still honor that as well. So they're like, how could you do both? I'm like, well, what you call the duality of, like, the God and goddess, like, who's to say that the God you're referring to is not the same God that a Christian is referring to? Like, who knows? No one knows. Because I always say that universe, spirit, source will always present itself in a way that resonates with the person who's inquiring. And so for me, it makes sense that angels will appear in the way that most resonates with you. Yeah, I love that.
And I also, like, when someone would say to me, sees the word God, they've got like this very like
Gandalf from Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Big beard, big staff, thou shalt not pass. Like,
they've got that, like, that image. But for me, as soon as someone says the word God, it goes beyond male, female. It's just like the quantum field, it's just this energy. My mum uses the word goddess more than I do, actually. She just like, she'll say, oh my goddess, like, or she always says, thank you, goddess. Like, she's very resonance with the goddess term. It's funny.
It's funny because you can almost just dissecting that from I'm a master practitioner for neuro-linguistic programming, so I'm always analyzing the things people say, and like, it's funny how sometimes you can pick up the little nuances. Like, I tend to say, "Oh my gods," so you can tell that I'm like, I believe in a polytheistic kind of system, because I say, "Oh my gods," I always pluralize it because it's multiple.
I've never even thought about that before.
Yeah, but because also being European descent, like, I don't know in Europe if it's the same, but the people who come from Europe who are born in Australia, we tend to say, "Oh my God," a lot. It's like, "Oh my God this, oh my God that." Like, it's just a phrase that's
I say, "Oh my God,"
oh my God, So bringing it back to the angels. Sorry, I keep digressing. I love a good tangent.
I was going to say, we always love a good tangent. It's fine.
So when people think angels, obviously for lack of a better word, stereotypical ones, people will think of the four main archangels. And I say main because they're the ones everyone thinks about, like Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel. But then I have also, over the years, been like resonated with more like Metatron, Sandalphon. Like, I see them as like some of the main, I don't know, for lack of a better word, like, I don't want to give them a hierarchy, but I see those guys plus a few others as being like the main entourage, I guess you'd call them. But then, like, are there any others that have really presented themselves to you, or that you like?
Yeah, I mean, I always just speak to the angels as a force, so I just go angels, angels. Even though I know, like, I've got a name for my guardian angel, I don't believe that that's necessarily a requirement or a necessity. A lot of people give themselves a hard time. I can't get my guardian angel's name, and then they just think they've failed at angels. But that's not it, because the actual saying the word angels, or even if that doesn't work for you, you can say guardian, or guide. You can just call on this presence. It's more a vibrational call. It's not the word you're saying; it's how you feel. And that's the magic. So what was I saying? So I've always spoke to them like that, but when I was invited to write angel prayers, they wanted me to kind of write this directory of angels, and initially I'd written about the 15 traditional, and then this angel that I had kept experiencing called Orion. And then I went on to update the book and add in even more beings that I would consider angelic, and so one of them was the Shekinah. And and I loved that. It was like it was from Judaism, the idea that the Shekinah is this feminine aspect of God. Like, that just wowed me. And then I was even more like taken aback when I had done like this activation to connect with that that being and that experience, like a Beyonce style, like it's like a Beyonce face with dove wings in the middle of the air, and I was like, oh my god, you know.
What have I just
It was like this, like, and that was the only way to describe it. It was like the fiercest aspect, you know, and I mean like fierce.
I was about to say, yeah.
Like such a fierce side of things, yeah.
Like Sasha Fierce meets the Holy Spirit. Is the you know,
that's like next level right there.
I used that. I said that on a Instagram post one time. You know, think Holy Spirit and make it Beyonce. Like that is the Shekinah. I think there's loads of angels out there, and there's probably so many that we don't even know of or have a name to, and there's no correct term or anything like that. These are just how people have come to understand who the angels are and what their gifts are is actually based on the Hebrew interpretation of what their name means.
Like Michael instead of Michael, Michael.
Michael, right? He was like God, so therefore he's been given that position of the strong one, the forceful one, the powerful one, Uriel, light, so therefore he's been associated with complete light and everything that you would experience in the light. So joy, success, happiness, awareness. So that's how I've gotten the information about the archangels over the years. And then in more recent times, I've been kind of toying with how to call them in, because I was always calling the archangels into the four directions. And again, the four traditional, and I've changed it recently.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, so I used to be Uriel in the north, and then it would be Raphael in the east, Michael in the south, Gabriel in the west. But now I do Ariel in the north, because she's the lioness of God, the protector of wild places. So it feels more connected to.
Yeah.
And so when
makes sense.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because we usually flip.
Yeah,
we flip
north and south.
North and south. Yeah, we flip north and south here. Yeah.
Right. So your north is fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
But then depending on who you talk to as well, because some people also, because we get, depending on what you subscribe to, because some people I know from Melbourne anyway, because they will keep west as being water, but then they put fire in the east, because fire and water are opposite each other, like the triangles are the other way around. And because the sun rises in these, so they see the sun as a source of light and fire and whatever else.
That's the same as the shamanic traditions.
And then they put air in the north, because we tend to get northerly winds a lot in where we're from. So all the winds tend to come from the north.
Yeah.
And then they put earth down like south, because that's where Antarctica is. Whereas then sometimes I've seen some people flip those and they say, well, beyond us is just nothing. It's ocean. So they put the landmass in the north, because I'm at the southern point of Australia. So I'm like, oh, this is so confusing. But like, obviously we keep telling people, just do what resonates with you and your local practice or where you live. But I was actually going to be a bit tongue in cheek. I was going to say, hey, now that you've got this relationship with him, do you sometimes, like, if you're wanting to talk to Michael, is it always like, call it like, thank you, Archangel Michael, blah, blah, or do sometimes you just go, yo, Mikey, what's up in the hizzle? And just come down and cut these cords. You know what I'm saying, my bro? Like,
yeah, she's like, angels, it's me again. Archangel Michael's been the one consistent angel that I guess I've called on every day. Yeah. And then Michael and Metatron are the two angels that I'll go to all the time. I was going to say one last. So Ariel in the north, and then when you call in sun and the moon, you call in Uriel for the sun and Haniel for the moon. That's shifted it. And then if you really want to go far, you go Metatron to bring in the heavens and Sandalphon.
Instead of from below.
Yeah.
Wait, so in that paradigm, who stays in the south?
So Michael stays in the south because
he's fire. Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, the warmer weather. Okay, got it. Yeah. That's cool.
Oh, I like that.
So when I speak to the angels, I just speak to them like friends. But if I'm really needing to shift something, I'm quite dogmatic with the angel prayers philosophy. I'm like, thank you. And then I step into that, really imagining and feeling that what I'm asking for has already been answered. Mm-hmm. Which, if you really think about it, it's quite magical,
Mm-hmm.
It is. That's it. Definitely.
Pure intention.
And this is where, like, working, like, as I work as a life coach and health coach during the day outside of being a witch and fitness instructor. So when I'm Oh, everything else, like insert all the different job titles here. But yeah, so like I always talk to my clients about this. I say whenever they're writing goals, like if we're doing goal setting or whatnot, I always talk about them as that write the goal in the future, like today is, and insert whatever date, and I have achieved X, Y, Z. So you talk about it as if it's already happened. And so that way you're telling your future self, this is what needs to happen by this day. And then the universe will catch up to that rather than, oh, I want to lose X kilos or I want to make X dollars. Great. It's a want. Let's make it happen. So I love that what you do ties in a lot with what I coach people on. So it makes a lot of sense. There's so much truth to that. Like you read anyone who writes about manifestation, Gabrielle Bernstein talks about it. Like you've talked about it. Like so many people who write about manifesting, they all speak in the same language, which is so good.
Yeah, I've even taken it a little bit further now where I don't ask for the thing. I try and find what the thing would make me feel and feel the feeling.
Yeah.
So the feelings bring the things is what I always say.
Yeah, because you never know. Like we could be asking for a particular thing, thinking that that's what it's going to make us feel like, but it might not be. It might actually be something else that gets us to that point.
And
micromanaging.
We've talked about it a few times, micromanaging spirit and source, thinking we know better.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just instead of, wanting like the house with the certain look to it, just embody the feeling of being home, instead of, wanting a specific career, feel the feeling of success.
Yeah.
I remember working with this one woman who was like a really high powerful kind of lawyer, and she was like, but she kind of lost her way with her career. And one of the things that we done was I says, do you have like any funnily enough expensive shoes? And she's like, yeah, I've got a pair of Christian Louboutins. I'm like, go and get them right now. And I made her like walk and strut her stuff in the shoes. Like, like walking down the street, she was unstoppable. And then she got like, a massive job offer now. I mean, like,
I love it.
Like
that's so cool.
Real job. And she was like, that's down to those shoes. I was like, the shoes just help you get into that.
That feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really cool.
Yeah. It's that whole thing of, well, not fake it till you make it, but you embody that which you want to become.
Yeah.
That's like I tell people when I'm on the stage teaching Zumba, to bring it back to that, I don't know why, but anyway, I change from Beyonce to Channing Tatum depending on what song I'm doing. Anyway, now you've got an image in your head.
I've always said people don't know I'm gay until a Beyonce song comes on, and then it's like a no-brainer.
Side note, you would actually love, so in Australia, not that we can go clubbing at the moment. Well, actually, no, clubs have just started to open again here in Australia. But so there's actually this club in.
Oh, are you in lockdown?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the UK. You guys have got another really major wave at the moment, right?
4 weeks. Yeah, 4 weeks.
Oh no.
So I'm from Melbourne. We had lockdown for 9 months.
Oh, you did.
So I'm like 4 weeks. Whatever.
It's like nothing.
Whatever. That's like, and it's done. I'm just kidding. I'm not comparing because you guys have actually got. It's really bad. I know over there for everyone in the UK. But no. What I was going to say is that in Melbourne and Sydney, we do this club called Swagger, which is I say it's a queer event because it's not just LGBT. It's like anyone who wants to come along, like allies and whatnot. And it's an urban night. So it's like everything from Beyonce to Destiny's Child to like to Missy Elliott to, just basically anything that's urban, R&B, hip hop, whatever. And you see, because when a Beyonce song comes on, all the gay boys jump on the podium and they're like single ladies. It's just, you just reminded me of that just now. I'm like, oh my God, Kyle would love that club.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I love that. I went to a club night, well, it was kind of a while ago now, but it was a ladies' night. It was, and I remember Diana Ross came on and I jumped on the podium. So yeah.
I love it.
To the best of us.
That's right. That's exactly it.
So I guess one of the things I'd like to do with you, if you will, it's something that I saw on a video on your YouTube channel. So for those that don't follow him, firstly, why not? And secondly, go to YouTube, find Kyle Gray UK, click subscribe, click the little bell, do all the things that you've already done for our channel. But I love there was a video, it was about, you call it life hacks, spiritual life hacks. And talking about the putting your protection, like daily protection in? Because I know this is a thing that a lot of people ask, especially as a witch, like they ask, oh, how do you protect yourself? Blah, 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 blah. But I love the analogy you used, which was cleanse, tone, and moisturize.
Right.
Do you mind unpacking that for our listeners / viewers?
Yeah, so I was trying to, because I was trying to teach people how to look after their energy, and there was so many people I met along the way who had learned about energy protection. I don't know about you, but when I first learned about like crystal therapy or Reiki,
there's white light, crystal shield, all of that stuff.
Yeah, you just like imagine yourself in a bubble. And so like most people walk in the spiritual path, every time some weird energy comes along, we just instantly in our mind, if like say someone comes over and they've got a really draining energy, or
you just go bubble, like
imagine there's a bubble around you.
Yeah.
So I had been doing that, and I'd noticed, because I used to do 45 angel readings a week at one point.
Oh, wow.
And I
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I'm tired just thinking about it.
Yeah, that's right.
Look at me now. No, I'm joking. I had noticed that some days I'd maybe forget because there's a lot of clients, or something would happen. I'd feel really drained, and then I noticed when I started touring professionally that people who were doing the bubble thing were still feeling drained. So I remember asking the angels about it, and they used an American term. They says you're cling wrapping it in. So I would say cling film or cling wrap, but basically the energy's already on you, and then you put the bubble around you. The energy's stuck in the bubble with you. So you're basically in a Tupperware dish with the energy that you try to avoid.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the visuals that I have in my head right now.
So I had been doing this cleanse, tone, and moisturize, where you cleanse, which would be like use an element or Archangel Michael's sword to like cut away anything that's holding you back first. You tone by remembering your truth, so saying something to reaffirm who you are, and then you put on the moisturizer, which is like the layer at the very end. You don't put the moisturizer on until you've done everything else. That's
that's the end. Yeah.
I've been doing that, and it'd been working a treat, and then I can't remember. It feels like I've lost a year because I didn't travel last year, but the year before last, I had been touring. I'd been in America like 5 times, and I ended up doing a retreat in a place in the Redwood Forest, and it was a really cool place, like state of the art, like organic and
beautiful.
Like cottages, and it was like super cool. So me and my mum were sharing a cottage, and it was so lovely. But that night I went to bed, and I kid you not, it was like, it was not a vibe. And I had done cleanse, tone, and moisturize, and yet I could still feel like there was a presence in the room that was not bad, but just I wasn't really there to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, cut the long story short, I fell asleep that night, and then I woke up. In my dream, I woke up, was very lucid, and I saw a man shooting himself in the forest. And so the next morning, I told my mum, there was a guy in my room last night, and I think he shot himself. And
oh my God.
He was like a faceless man. And so we were at breakfast the next day in the big kind of national, and one of the event programmers came over to me and was like, so how are you settling into this place? And I was like, I mean, the place is amazing. The food is unbelievable, but the man who shot himself in the forest will not leave me alone. And it turns out she was friends with him, and she had this like complete meltdown.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, it's complete meltdown. And so over the days that I'd been leading this retreat, I had been like unpacking it. So every day another thing would happen, and I got this big story. And so they weren't really keen on me like finding out this like private information about the estate. Oh, it was an absolute nightmare. So anyway, I was like, Angels, why is cleanse, tone, and moisturize not working? Why
am I saying this?
And they said it's because you're not cleaning the area. So I then, since that YouTube video, there's a new part. So there's cleanse. So I use fire to cleanse my energy field. Anything that's there, Archangel Michael's sword, and then you exfoliate. You have to then clean the space. So I use Archangel Metatron's, or work with Archangel Metatron's energy, and I always say thank you for using your sacred geometry to clear the space that I am in. So because you can be clean and protected, but the space that you're in could be fucked. So I started doing the exfoliate.
That's a technical term. It's a technical term. When it's fucked. Yeah.
So there's 4 steps to cleansing your energy, and then I'll take us through it if we've got enough time.
Yeah, of course.
Go.
Archangel, so cleanse your space first. Exfoliate, which means the area that you're also in. Tone by remembering who you truly are, and then finally moisturize by putting yourself in the bubble. So that's the final step. And anytime you forget to do it, whether you're out and about, or excuse yourself and go to a toilet or a bathroom and do it there. Like I kid you not, every time someone comes up to me and I've not done it, I'm like, can you give me 2 minutes? I'll come back to you. I just need to go to the bathroom. And I generally always do, because I literally pee so much. And I drink like 5 of these.
Drinking lots of water. See, that's good.
Yeah. So I was like, so I'd done it at an event recently. Someone had been, I am so offended because that I had said to them, I need to go to the bathroom, I'm back in 2 minutes. And
like, what a diva.
I genuinely wasn't.
Oh my God, that's funny, because you've just now told everybody. So everyone that you've ever met, you've said, I'll be back in 2 minutes, is now like, triggered.
I do that a lot, but not all cases is because I'm trying to avoid their energy.
Because you kind of remember, it just triggers that thing to go, oh, I haven't done it. Because I
do. I think of I started before, like big things that I do. I started putting on Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac, and then started doing this as like a thing.
I love that.
So do we want to take it through?
Yeah, let's do it. So it's super easy. I want you just to close your eyes, just allow your palms to face upwards, which is just about opening your energy. And we're just going to take a few deep breaths just to center ourselves. And before we begin this little process, I want you to know that you are the keeper of your mind and body. You have a choice what energy and lessons you take on and what you don't. So if you're ever exposed to an energy that does not feel friendly or safe, know that within you hold the power to remove it, to say no, and to reclaim your space. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call upon Archangel Michael, and we're going to invite him to remove any lower vibrations, cords, or connections to anything that is not serving you. And I'll say the prayer for you. You just receive the words. Thank you, Archangel Michael, the angel of fire, for using your sacred sword of truth to cut away any cords that bind me to people, places, situations, stories, fears, or any other bullshit I no longer need. And imagine that there's a sword of fire moving around your energy field, cutting away connections and bonds to all situations that are no longer yours to carry. When you feel that that's done, just say thank you. And now we call in Archangel Metatron, who is the angel of the now age, the angel of evolution, and the protector of sacred geometry, and he can clear spaces. Thank you, Archangel Metatron, angel of the now, for using your sacred geometry to clear my energy field and the space around me. It feels so good to know that any energy that is stagnant, stuck, or not love is neutralized and changed back to love. And when you feel that's done, just say thank you. Now bring your hands to the heart space. We're going to say a little affirmation. This is about toning and remembering who you truly are. So in your mind, just repeat these words. I am the keeper of my mind and of my body. Wherever love is present, fear is a stranger. And love is here in me. I'll say that one more time. I am the keeper of my mind and body. Wherever love is present, fear is a stranger. And love is here in me. And then finally, hands come into prayer, and you imagine that there is a bubble coming from the heart of Source, wherever you may call that energy, God, Goddess, universe, quantum field. Imagine this light of Source just washing over you like a waterfall and creating a bubble of light, keeping you safe and strong. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. I always do this at the end. I always open my hands up and make a bubble.
I love that.
And if you're in in the bathroom stall, you kind of have to go to the side.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to go around there. Especially in my weird little bath. It's like, yeah.
You made me a little bit emotional now.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Thank you. That was really beautiful.
But when you learn that, you can do it in literally like 1 minute. You know?
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah. It's just.
Wait, how's it go? Do it again.
Yeah. I've definitely done it in the middle of like a supermarket. I've done it in the car. You can do it whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
For sharing
Pleasure.
So, I don't know if we're pushing it for time, but I was wondering, could we do one quick little thing? Yeah. Only if you want to, if you're open to it.
What's that?
Would you be?
I was going to say, you can't ask that without knowing what it is.
What was that?
You want to pick a card? I thought you were going to say.
I was actually going to say that exactly. I literally looked like, can we pick a card? Do you mind?
I've got the ancestors, if that's okay.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
There's one that both of you will really like coming.
I don't.
There's 3 more decks coming, but
really?
When? Yeah. What time frame? I need to make sure this one.
One in November 21.
Yep.
Writing the shit down.
It's called the Gateway of Light Activation deck, and it's all windows into different parts of the other realm.
Yeah.
And then
I love that.
An angel activation deck coming, which is like the most new age one that'll ever be created by me. It's like out there.
Wait, when's that one?
I guess that's going to be 22.
Yeah.
And then there's one after that, and it's a Celtic pagan deck.
Yay! I'm so excited.
I can't tell you about that one yet because we've not signed a contract. So
okay.
I'll find out tomorrow. So.
Awesome.
Whenever you pick a card, there's always one rule. The first pick is always the right pick.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's important to ask for what you need rather than what you want. So I always say thank you, angels, universe, guides, for revealing to me what I need to know. And we'll pick one for our strength and one for our challenge. We'll do 2. Yeah. Okay. Woo. Well, it's so funny because the first card was winter, but it is for me.
Yeah, that's it.
When I was creating this deck, it was I was so obsessed with watching this documentary on Yellowstone National Park, and what I really loved was they put the wolves back in Yellowstone, and they always put their needs and priorities before any other being. And that just fascinated me. So this card says, take care of your needs. So the card is about wolf medicine and recognizing that within you have the power, the potential, and the ability to track down what you need. Now, with that coming up, this card, it says all of us in this conversation and everyone that's watching right now, our strength is we know what we need. We know exactly what we need to support us, to help us grow, to help us feel safe, to help us feel contented. So it's our strength right now. We know exactly what it is we need in order for us to be well. And so it's important to stay centered on what we need. Yeah. So that's what our strength is.
Yeah.
Our challenge was the medicine mother.
Oh.
And I wanted, when I was creating this deck, to put an African woman in it, but I also wanted to honor the deities of those traditions and not like appropriate them.
Yeah.
So I asked for a vision of a being that I could connect to without putting a name on it, or not honoring someone's tradition. And the medicine mother came to me in a dream.
Wow.
And this is about honoring your inner knowing. So our challenge is to make a move on what we know within us.
Yeah.
So if there's something that we know we need to do, or action or step, that's our challenge. The next phase of our life, the next part of our unfolding, our success, our joy, our happiness cannot come unless we take the first step in honoring what we know.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this right now and you know there's something that you need to do, a truth that you need to step into, something that you need to embody about yourself or your life that you've been putting off, that's what you need to do. That challenge helps you track down and step into the strength.
Yeah, what you need.
There you go.
Boom.
Yeah, that's it. Mic drop.
That's awesome. No, thank you for doing that. I'm so
Thank
glad that
you.
you were happy to do that, because I was like, oh, I wonder if it
I had them ready. I was-
you must be psychic. Like but no, in all honesty, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I'm sure you've got many CrossFit things to do today. And I'm probably sure you're like itching to have some food. It's almost food time, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to eat.
Yeah, perfect. So, well, please give Thor a big squeeze and a smushy kiss from us, because it'd be amazing. So, I will definitely be. This will be one of my most cherished episodes. I think.
Thank you
And
so
I
much.
honestly mean that.
It's such a pleasure.
It's been so much fun. Thank you. I could talk for hours. That's lots.
Yeah, like, and like, I know I said it as I know I said it as a joke. I was like, oh, like it's not for me. It's for service to the viewers, but. On some level, it was for me too.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. It was a pleasure to be here.
No, thank you. We'd love to have you back in the future if you're open
definitely
to it.
100%, 100.
And when I won't say if, when all of this stuff blows over, do you think there's any likelihood of a tour to Australia in your future?
I really was I don't really want to travel that much anymore, but I've always wanted to go to Australia. We were actually booked to go to Melbourne at one point, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
And then the event was changed to Hawaii. So,
I mean,
I
know where I'd be going.
I mean, I was so up for going to Melbourne because we'd been watching The Housewives of Melbourne. And, it looked brilliant.
So
I also
wait,
there too. So
do you know Chica? You know, Chica?
I don't know them.
But from the show, I mean.
No, I don't know. I don't know their names. There was. I'd been watching it with my mum, but I remember there was like a psychic on it, wasn't there? Was it Jackie? Maybe.
Oh, yeah, Jackie. Yeah, that Jackie Gillies. Yeah.
You'd sent her my angel cards because we just thought she was so cool.
Oh, really?
Back then.
Yeah, so Jackie Gillies is married to one of the guys from, is it Silverchair?
A band, right?
Was it Silver? No, not Silverchair. What was the band?
That's right.
Sure.
Is it Silverchair? I don't know. But anyway, so no, because so Chica, the one who's the event planner who owns the business with her husband and stuff. So I was on my Bucks night. If you guys call it a Bucks night, stag do, whatever you call it, stag do. Yeah, so on my stag do, we ended up we did all this, we went to the wineries, then we went to the hot springs, did all that kind of bougie stuff, whatever, and then we ended up at a pizza place in one of the bougie parts of Melbourne because that's how I wanted the food that I like. So we went to an Italian wood-fired pizza place, and as I'm waiting to go in, I saw her leaving another cafe, and I was like, oh my God, it's Chica. Because I was at the time I was watching the show, I was obsessed with her. So I literally ran down the street towards a moving vehicle because she was pulling out of the car. I'm like, wait! because I was like majorly intoxicated by this point.
Yeah.
Because I'd been at a winery all day, like just drinking back the wine, whatever. So I'm like, Chica, can I have a photo? And she made her husband pull over, and she got,
that was nice.
she got out of the car, took a photo with me, and like, I'm so sorry. She goes, oh, what's the occasion? Like, you look all dressed up and stuff. Mark, it's my stag do. She goes, oh my God. She goes, you don't seem drunk enough. I said, oh no, I'm fucking tada. But it was so lovely. So I mean, the picture wasn't the greatest because I looked a little bit drunk, but it's okay.
It's okay.
I still got a photo
You
with
still
her.
got it. It's great.
Oh,
I mean, look, if you want to come to Melbourne in the future, we'll gladly accept you. Like,
yeah.
come.
Eventually. Yeah.
Oh, just hit
awesome.
me up with an email. See if we could tee it up for swagger. Maybe we could see when swagger's happening. I mean, mind you, they would have no idea who you are because it's a very different crowd. Oh no, they might actually. There might be a few.
Probably do.
There'd be a few who do. But
is that the night? I want to go to that. Yeah.
It's that urban
good.
night, and you can
The
dance with
urban night.
Beyonce up on stage like all the other. There's actually this one guy that he knows the whole dance to Single Ladies.
I mean, I believe it.
And every time it comes on,
that's
everyone
insane.
just turns their head to watch him because we know he's gonna do it. It's like his shtick. Anyway, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for coming again. And yes, guys, so you'll have to tune in again real soon for our next episode. You know that we bring out 2 episodes a week.
Yeah.
I don't remember when this one is airing. It's cool. We'll just air it when it airs. And I don't remember what episode's next because my mind's just like whoosh. Anyways,
We'll find it.
thank you once again,
soon.
and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye.